Another week, another belt for Garrett Wilson.
I got some Buffalo hot sauce for you. Garrett Wilson needs 55 yards receiving against the Bills to set the rookie yardage record for a Jets receiver.
Welcome to the 2-Minute Drill presented by HCL Tech. Jets Bills in Buffalo in Week 14. EA, this one feels like it's going to be an intense matchup.
It feels like a playoff game. The Jets are trying to sweep the season series against the Bills for the first time since 2016. When you look at those AFC East standings right now, the Bills have a 2-game lead over the Jets. But if the Jets win this game, they're only one behind in the loss standings, and they will have that sweep over the aforementioned Buffalo Bills. You're looking at a Buffalo team right now that has their eyes on home field advantage in the AFC. Right now, they enter this ball game the #1 seed in the conference, whereas the Jets, even though they lost that game in Minnesota last week, the heartbreaker where they only converted 1 of 6 times in the red zone, they are still the #7 seed. So a lot of playoff implications in Orchard Park this weekend.
Well, for the Jets, for any team playing the Bills, defensively speaking, it starts with stopping Josh Allen, which the Jets did a pretty good job of in Week 9.
I thought they were phenomenal. You think about the Jets holding the Bills to just 17 points. They sacked Josh Allen 5 times. They gave him a beating. They hit him 8 times. They intercepted him twice in that ball game, and they're going to have to keep the pressure on against Allen and company this week. On the other side of the ball, in that first meeting, it was Zach Wilson who was the quarterback for the New York Jets. Of course, over the last 2 weeks, it's been the Mike White show. He's averaged more than 300 yards passing in each of those games, and the Jets offensively have gotten it going both in the pass game and on the ground. For the Bills, there are a couple guys we got to watch out for this week who weren't active in that first meeting, namely Jordan Poyer, that fine safety in the defensive backfield for Buffalo, and then Matt Milano. We'll have to see what his status is. If Milano is next to Tremaine Edmonds, those are 2 of the finer linebackers in the National Football League. And Trey Davis-White, I shouldn't forget about him. He likely will be matched up a little bit, at least, in this game, maybe a lot, against Garrett Wilson.
It's a great point, but the Jets had some players who did not play in Week 9 as well. The biggest one probably Corey Davis, George Fant back in the lineup, making his return last week against the Vikings. So that's 2 starters right there who didn't play in Week 9 against the Bills and are pretty much set to play, barring something unforeseen, in Week 14. You mentioned Mike White. Well, what do you expect from Mike White? Because the last time he played the Bills was his last start of the 2021 season. He threw 4 interceptions, but the stats not necessarily indicative of the way that game flowed.
Well, he's a different player, and Mike LaFleur talked about it this week, that he just has so much more experience. And White is a guy who's very decisive in the pocket. He's got command of the huddle, and again, he's getting rid of the football on time, and his players are making plays in space. Garrett Wilson has become a star for the New York Jets. Watch the offensive backfield, though, behind him, because in that first meeting, the Jets rushed for 174 yards, largely with Michael Carter and James Robinson. Zonovan Bam Knight, undrafted free agent out of NC State in the first 2 NFL games, more than 100 yards from scrimmage. The Jets like the juice that White brings to the table, and Knight. Offensively for the Bills, they're going to try to keep it balanced with Motor Singletary and James Cook, Dalvin Cook's brother.
That's a great point. The Jets were fantastic on the ground last week. The weather for Sunday, scheduled to have rain in the forecast, so we'll see. Maybe both teams would want to try to run the ball, but that was a 2-Minute Drill presented by HCL Tech. Jets Bills in Week 14.